Program was this thing called Hoja, and it had an interface where there was this little bug and you could tell it to move left, to move right, and it would just draw a tree.
The first program I ever wrote, it was a calculator program, and it was interesting because you basically had to build an interface with a bunch of numbers. So you had to use buttons, and each button had to have like a value of a number, and then the background you had to like create an algorithm that would calculate based on what functions a person used. So that's
code and programming was in varsity, so we had to do a bubble sort.
Of 2018, I joined a coding boot camp, and I learned the full .NET stack and a bit of SQL. So yeah, that's when I got hooked, and I now work as a developer.
My first program was about me trying to build my own website when I was still learning how to code.
At first I got it to draw a line and then a square, and then eventually drew a tree, and I think that was like one of my proudest moments in high school. And ever since then, I think I've kind of always known that this is what I want.
I love how it gives me the sense of freedom of how I can build whatever I want, however I want it, as long as it's something that's doing social good. So being able to create my own website, being able to use any open source networks, open source software, like just the freedom of the creativity.
I'm never bored. Even if I'm just by myself in Lynn, I can never be bored because there's always something to do. There's always something to either learn or something to just work on or like have fun with, to build. That's what I like about it.
I started just to learn the basics. I was sent to go to a 2-week boot camp, and there they gave us a task to build a business website for one of the businesses in Khayelitsha, and obviously we have to go through the processes of interviewing the client and interviewing their customers, and then before we start building.
The very first program was a calculator app, but it wasn't just a regular calculator. It was a little calculator that would calculate the mass of molecules. So if you had 5 carbons and 8 hydrogens, what was the total mass?
I taught myself how to code using online free materials and platforms like Code Academy, YouTube videos, and also Tools+.
Programming as a skill teaches you how to solve problems.
One thing I always tell my friends is that, like, no industry is going to outlive everything, but at least with this one you could have a potential job for the rest of your life, so why not?
I don't think there's ever a time when you'll interact with any kind of system and not touch on programming.
It broadens the way you think. It also gives you a broader perspective of how the world is.
There's so much that you can do to empower businesses, that you can do to empower doctors, that you can do to empower regular people and just young people.
I always believed that technology has a role to play in terms of accelerating growth, creating jobs, and also now being able now to solve some of the social ills and social challenges that we have in our community by means of technology.
My exposure to the IT and software development industry, it was solely a no-go zone for especially women of color and young women as well. So I feel like us being here representing it shows that for the younger generation and future software developers that it's possible. It's not just for certain people for privilege, but even if you don't have any coding background, you can do it.
If you're going to develop a product for mass market, but you only have one team doing it, or a team that looks all alike, how are you making sure that the product actually suits the market you're trying to get to? So it also helps, I guess, if you are in the team, because you have someone who's like you or who thinks like you, who has similar background to you, who can kind of help you or like motivate you.
All I could see was people that did not look like me, and the only person who looked like me was the lady who serviced the coffee machine. It made me feel like I was less qualified, one, and I also think that a lot of people around me might have been surprised and they didn't know how to interact with me. I was invisible, yet I stuck out like a sore thumb as well. So yeah, I think it matters because it says to other people that look like me that if I can do it, then so can you. That's the message it sends out. If I'm standing there sticking out like a sore thumb and yet still thriving, then it says to other young black women like me that if it's possible for me, then it's possible for you.
Mainly development skills, because that's what we need to polish on at Quick 30. That's why now our program runs for a full 1 year, to be able now, or to enable kids now to have more time in having to practice rather than limiting the program. Because I mean, some of our beneficiaries have never touched computers before. So it enables them now, you know, a room and a space to breathe, so that now they can learn the skills and be confident.
Just learning how to code, but it's also access to a computer, access to resources that allows you to empower yourself, being able to look for the answers, knowing how to get the answers, being able to use a computer more than just to get entertainment, but also as a medium of learning, of information, and I think that makes a huge difference.